Our Old Testament lesson this morning comes from 1 Samuel, chapter 2, verses 1 through 10. Hannah prayed and said, "My heart exults in the Lord. My strength is exalted in my God. My mouth derides my enemies because I rejoice in my victory. There is no holy one like the Lord, no one besides you. There is no rock like our God. Talk no more so very proudly. Let not arrogance come from your mouth, for the Lord is a God of knowledge, and by him actions are weighted. The bows of the mighty are broken, but the feeble gird on strength. Those who were full have hired themselves out for bread, but those who were hungry are fat with spoil. The barren has borne 7, but she who has many children is forlorn. The Lord kills and brings to life. He brings down to Sheol and raises up. The Lord makes poor and makes rich. He brings low. He also exalts. He raises up the poor from the dust. He lifts the needy from the ash heap to make them sit with princes and inherit a seat of honor. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and on them he has set the world. He will guard the feet of his faithful ones, but the wicked shall be cut off in darkness, for not by might does one prevail. The Lord, his adversaries shall be shattered. The Most High will thunder in heaven. The Lord will judge the ends of the earth. He will give strength to his king and exalt the power of his anointed." Friends, this is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. All of our stories have chapters to them, filled with plots and subplots, major and minor characters, various themes. And this morning, we happen to meet Hannah in a chapter of praise and prayer. But this is just one chapter of her story. Hannah was the wife of a man named Elkanah, a man who also had another wife, Peninnah. After introducing these characters to us, the text quickly says, Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. Hannah was barren, and as if this weren't painful enough, Peninnah taunted her for years because of her barrenness. You see, Hannah's story is also a story of despair, of broken dreams, of shame and bitterness. And so, in a moment of desperation, Hannah makes a deal with God. She went to the temple and prayed harder than she had ever prayed before. She prayed through her tears for a son that she promised would lead his life in devotion to God. You see, Hannah's story is also a story of faith, of hope that God can write new endings to stories that seem to be predetermined. Hannah gives birth to a son, Samuel, and believes with all of her heart that God has heard her prayers. And out of this joy, out of this relief, out of this immense gratitude comes her song of praise. If we read even further, we read that this boy Samuel grows up to be a key figure in Israel's story. Samuel is a prophet and a judge who anoints the first king, Saul, and later Saul's successor, King David. Hannah's story becomes part of Israel's collective story, Hannah's joyful prayer becomes the community's own hymn as it sings the praises of the God who raises up the poor out of the dust, who lifts the needy, who writes new endings of hope to stories of despair, stories of grief. We come to this place carrying all of our stories with us, all of our stories with all of their various chapters. Stories of despair and broken dreams, stories of shame and bitterness, stories of faith and hope, stories of joy and love, of connection and community. And at any given moment, depending on our current chapter, our stories can produce or they can prevent songs of praise to God. My husband Jonah tells me that one of his seminary professors, Dr. Emily Towns, would always end her prayers with this phrase, "And all those who are gathered and able, say amen." He says that it took him a while to really let that meaning sink in. And all those who are gathered and able, say amen. Because there are times when the amen just does not come. There are times when the amen just cannot come. And in these times and in these places and in these chapters of our lives, when the amen gets stuck in our mouths, when the songs of praise sound out of tune and even hollow, it is in these times that we need those who are able to say amen to say it for us. We need Hannah to say amen for us. We need our hymns to say amen for us. We need the community gathered who can say amen to say it for us until we begin a new chapter and can say it again for ourselves. We need the community gathered to sing songs of praise for us until we begin a new chapter and can sing them again ourselves. The world has been watching a chapter unfold in Paris these past 2 days. It is a chapter marked by terror, by the attempt to control through fear, by the twisting and the misconstruing of religion into the justification for hate and extreme violence. It is a chapter that we have read about and witnessed far too often and in far too many places. A chapter that is unfolding with variations in Beirut, in Baghdad, in Syria, in Kenya, in communities and countries all over this world. It is hard to find the words to address such terror, such hate. It is hard to know how best to respond. It is hard to pray, to say amen, let alone sing songs of praise. Instead, we weep bitter tears with Hannah. We sigh, "How long, O Lord?" with sighs too deep for words. But we cannot meet hate with hate. We cannot meet vengeance with vengeance. Jesus is unabashedly clear on this one. Blessed are the peacemakers, he says. Pray for your enemies. Look for the helpers. This is Mr. Rogers' advice given to him by his mother when he was a little boy. Look for the helpers, she told him. You will always find people who are helping. The helpers, in their own way, are saying the amen for those who cannot. The helpers, in their own way, are singing songs of praise They are bearing witness to the light that shines in the darkness. They are clinging to the hope that this terror, this hate, this darkness is not the final chapter of the story, that God is at work, writing a new ending for the chapters that lie ahead. So my prayer this morning is that we join their ranks as we are able, that we seek to be helpers, to be peacemakers in our communities and in our world, and that in these acts, great and small, our songs of praise offer hope and healing to a hurting world, and even to ourselves. On this Sunday, as we have welcomed new members, and as we have made financial commitments for the life and the support of this community of faith, let us make this commitment as well. May we be a community that will say amen, that will sing praises for others during chapters when they are not able, until they can proclaim them once again. May we let this community say amen and sing praises for us during chapters when we are not able, until we can proclaim them once again. And together, may we bear witness to the work of the one who brings hope, who brings light, who brings life. And may our witness become a communal song of praise. Amen.